certainly been in the news for weeks now. Accusations made at the debate about Haitians in Springfield, Ohio, eating pets.
Well, now a Haitian nonprofit is taking serious action. They just filed criminal charges against the former president and his running mate, Vance.
So what does this all mean for the candidates? Gabby Hart has the very latest.
This Ohio city is at the center of political controversy. False claims against Haitian immigrants in Springfield have sparked bomb threats and even forced schools to close. But now there is a nonprofit that is fighting back in court.
Nobody deserves special treatment.
Attorney Subodh Chandra is providing counsel to a nonprofit called the Haitian Bridge Alliance, and they just filed criminal charges against former President Trump and Senator J.D. Vance.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Those comments put Springfield into the national spotlight. But those rumors of Haitians eating neighborhood pets have since been thoroughly debunked by officials at every level, from the city's mayor to the governor. But the damage is done.
33 bomb threats, school closures, college closures, city hall closures, and threats to the mayor and his family.
The nonprofit filed a total of 6 charges in Clark County Municipal Court, including disrupting public service and making false alarms. Attorney Chandra explains the Ohio statute that made it possible for them to act.
And taken advantage of a procedure that allows private citizens to initiate these charges. The Haitian Bridge Alliance has gone directly to the judge and said, you've got to make a call on probable cause here.
That judge must now review the charges and decide how to proceed. Chandra says there is a case to be made. The comments could be considered a criminal offense, and that those responsible should be held accountable, regardless of their power or position. Former President Trump and J.D. Vance actually getting arrested? I mean, is that actually possible?
If you took the names Trump and Vance in the criminal charges that were filed and you substituted anybody else's, including my own, there's no question that arrest warrants would be issued.
And that attorney tells me that if this judge decides they can move forward with these criminal charges, the next step would be issuing an arrest warrant for both Senator Vance and former President Trump. We'll just have to wait and see how this all pans out. I'm Gabby Hart, 19 News.